For the record, can I note that in the room we have myself, Commissioner, CEO Tamara Clarkson, Director Wayne Neat, Acting Director Luke Lawrence, Executive Assistant Ryan Balderson, and Media and Comms Officer Maria O'Connell, and online we have Director Jill Brazil. Have I missed anybody from our?
It appears that Santana Rose, Aboriginal Engagement Manager, is in the room, and I will believe that is Taylor Riley, Governance and Risk Coordinator.
Okay, and we also note that those staff members are also online in the room in Derby. Right, moving on to item 2. And we note that we have no members of the public in the gallery at this point. This meeting will be video recorded and live streamed on the Shire's YouTube channel, with the exception of confidential items and periods of adjournment as determined by the presiding member. That's me. By being present at this meeting, members of the public consent to the possibility that their voice and or image may be live streamed to the public. Recordings will also be made available on the Shire's YouTube channel and website following the meeting. The official record of the meeting will be the written minutes kept in accordance with the Local Government Act 1995 and any relevant regulations. Moving on to item 3, Acknowledgement of Country. In the spirit of reconciliation, the Shire of Derby West Kimberley acknowledges the traditional custodians of the country throughout the Shire and the continued connection to the land, waters and community. The Shire of Derby West Kimberley would like to pay our respects to the people, the cultures and the elders, past and present, and the continuation of cultural, spiritual and educational practices of Aboriginal people. I add my voice to that statement of respect and acknowledgement. Attendance by telephone. We do have some staff members that I've already acknowledged in the Derby office of the Shire. Moving on to item 5. Announcements by the presiding person without discussion. So I do have an announcement to go, some announcements to go through, and they are in particular because we're holding this meeting in Fitzroy Crossing. So hello to those in the Fitzroy Crossing, and for those who do not know me, my name is Jeff Gooding, and I'm the appointed Commissioner for the Shire of Derby West Kimberley. This is my second meeting as Commissioner and the first in Fitzroy Crossing. Many are aware that I was appointed to this role by His Excellency the Governor of WA with effect from the 18th of April 2025. My role is to continue a stable and effective local government process until a new council elections are held in October. Until then, as Commissioner, I now hold all the powers and functions of the council and am regarded as being the council in its entirety. My first meeting last month in Derby, I spoke about adopting a practical approach that is evidence-driven. I'll remain on that course. I'm also seeking out advice from our community, because even though we have very capable staff, I recognise that the community holds wisdom and knowledge that should be included. Regular Commissioners' updates have been provided. 2 are out now and a 3rd can be expected early next week. Those will continue while I'm in the role. They will let people know where I've been, but also I don't want to lose sight of the future as well, and that is predominantly where I'm looking. Short update of some of my activities and actions since the last meeting. After my first Shire meeting in April, I've been into Fitzroy and met with a range of community people. I want to do more of that to better understand the issues facing residents here. Contacts and meetings with key government departmental staff and state government ministers have occurred, including the Minister for Regional Development, Ports and the Kimberley, Honourable Stephen Dawson, NLC, local member for Kimberley, Kadjina Danner, and senior officers of the Department of Fire and Emergency Services, Department of Transport and Tourism WA. I joined a local emergency management committee meeting and met with emergency services leaders in fire, police, state emergency services, Department of Communities and Main Roads. This is an important committee that prepares and coordinates emergency responses. People don't always see these folk unless there is an emergency, but behind the scenes they are always preparing. In that respect, let me take the opportunity to remind all residents about the approaching fire season and the need to get your fire breaks done. I've also attended a Fitzroy Valley working group meeting in Fitzroy Crossing, where I was able to hear from the many dedicated people that continue to work across communities and agencies on the issues of flood recovery. I continue to reach out to Aboriginal community controlled organisations doing good work in challenging work areas. My contact with Commander Nudi yesterday is a good example, and I'm strongly aware of the echoes here in Fitzroy Crossing. As a Shire, we'll be trying to build even better partnerships with you, particularly designed around how we can work better in areas of service delivery that might overlap their respective roles. Some of the internal matters that I've been working on are relevant to highlight. It would be no secret to many in the community that the Shire is now, and probably has been for many years, facing important financing and budgetary issues. The intense effort of the flood and the Shire's involvement in those works has made that worse. I'm determined that we will find a budget solution and intend to strike a budget at the budget for 2025-26 financial year at our June meeting. To that end, senior staff and our CEO are singularly focused on that outcome. Spending time with our external financial advisors is a priority, and I plan to devote even more time to that in coming weeks. Continue to keep up the longer-term advocacy role that the Shire has performed, and have further in-person meetings planned in the next few weeks with senior decision makers and ministers in state government. Topics include sustaining air services, infrastructure, housing and service projects. I am busy in this role. You have good Shire staff working with me, but my door will remain open to people with contributions to make to improve livability in our communities. So it's with these announcements and with a continuing high degree of optimism that I'll proceed with the agenda. Okay, moving on, that was item 9 performance report. Sorry. That was number 5, announcement to the presiding person. Disclosure of interests. 6.1, declaration of financial interests. I have nil. Item 6.2, declarations of proximity interests. I have nil. Item 6.3, declaration of impartiality interests. At the previous meeting, I declared that I was a member of the Council of the Shire of Women East Kimberley. That's all. That declaration's already been made. I'd like to add 2 further impartiality declarations to this item, and that is that I'm also a director of Gulmer Investments Proprietary Limited and a director of Warning Foundation. Okay, moving on to item 7, applications for leave of absence. I have nil. Moving on to item 8, responses to previous public questions taken on notice. And we do have a few of those, so let me go through them. Would you?
Previous published. First one.
Okay. Okay. Slight process change. So on matter 8, we have one question here, and it's from Catherine Feeney in Derby. And the query is about the Lord Mayor's Distress Relief Fund homemakers projects. We have written back. That's right, isn't it? We've written back. No, thank you for your email, Catherine. Sorry. On the 29th of April and 7th of May. She was unable to attend the council meeting here today. However, the following information is provided. Question 1. Could the Shire confirm that it originally budgeted to receive LMDRF funds to manage the homemaker projects, but later adjusted the process so that payments for works were facilitated directly by the City of Perth? I believe it's important to clarify this adjustment for the community so that it's understood the project is still progressing rather than being discontinued. And the answer that we've provided is yes, the Shire can confirm that is correct. The Lord Mayor's Distress Relief Fund is continuing to manage the homemakers projects identified as a result of AGRN 1044. That's the cyclone flood. It's initially thought that the LMDRF would be administered through the Shire, hence the requirement for budget line items. But the process has since been adjusted so that payments for works were facilitated directly by the City of Perth. Second question from Catherine is, with flood recovery teams now winding down, how is the development of the homemaker facilities being supported? And can we have a project update on homemaker facilities? Our answer is the Shire of Derby West Kimberley recovery staff continue to support projects through assistance with administrative tasks to ensure the success of the projects. Recovery staff have conducted community engagement, engaged contractors and suppliers for quotes on goods and services, purchased required goods and sent all invoices directly to the Lord Mayor's Distress Relief Fund, who then complete payment. Recovery staff oversee local contractors who have been engaged to complete building works, unpacking and cleaning of the homemaker prior to the handing it back to the community. A cuppa circle is then held at the homemakers on the day of handover, allowing all community members the opportunity to attend. And the third part of the question is about an update. So LMDRF project update. In terms of Lowenbund, that's complete and is transferred to the community on the 21st of March 25. Bungardi is complete and was transferred to the community on the 8th of May 2025. Kadjina is very near completion, pending power connection. Once done, we will organise to transfer it to the community before the week ending 24 May 2025. Bullager is complete. Handover is expected to be completed by 28th of May 2025, and Kupinari is complete and was transferred to the community on the 9th of May 2025. We trust that the above addresses your queries. Please contact us if you need further. So that's that item. So now move on to public question time and item 9.1, public questions. And I have a couple here that, at least a few that we'd like to move through before we open it up a little bit further. So the question is from Vicky Bargman. Can we be provided with an update on plans for the upgrade or renovation of Maddie's Park, including replacement of play and other infrastructure? Shire's response is that Maddie's playground was closed due to safety concerns in early 24. Between 17th of June and the 9th of September 24, the Shire conducted a community consultation process to inform the proposed upgrades of Maddie's Park playground. This engagement included discussions with Emily and Dave Ford, parents of Maddie and project facilitators. The consultation consisted of an 11-question online survey and collection of hard copy surveys at NAIDOC Family Fun Day and the Derby Youth Centre. Following strong community input, a bespoke ship-themed playground design has been selected. This theme reflects community preferences and feedback gathered during consultation. The upgraded playground will retain popular features such as multiple slides, climbing structures, and interactive play elements. A flying fox, specifically requested during the consultation, has been included. The design caters to a broad age range, from toddlers to older children. To ensure long-term durability in Derby's coastal environment, the playground is being constructed using marine-grade materials. Components include durable plastic and steel with high UV ratings, powder-coated surfaces, and UV-stabilised plastics designed to withstand harsh weather and reduce vulnerability to vandalism. A request for quotation process for the supply and installation of the new playground was completed in the first quarter of 25. 2 responses were received and a contract was awarded to A-Space Australia on the 28th of March 25. The RFQ specified a lead time of 14 to 16 weeks. Installation is scheduled to commence on the 26th of June 25. A separate tender process for the installation of the shade structure is currently underway and will close in early June. The installation timeline for the shade structure will be confirmed once the tender is awarded and lead times are finalised. That's the end of that answer. Next one is one that has come to us. So the question is, given the number of concerns and questions raised over the past weeks, social media and in general conversation in relation to the overgrowth and general condition of cemetery areas, the following questions or clarifications. Following questions and clarifications are: 1. Has the Shire established a maintenance plan and a schedule for the upkeep of both cemetery areas? And 2. And the continuing issue of wattle trees and similar shrubs being left to grow to unmanageable heights be addressed as part of the maintenance of the cemetery. I think we'd probably benefit from some advice from our director, Nate, at this point. So I wonder if I might ask you whether you can comment on that question.
So yeah, we are scheduled to undertake maintenance on the cemetery next week. But we have developed a maintenance schedule combining a proactive monthly response. So on a monthly basis, we will address those public areas, cemetery, Lock Street and others included. And therefore, hopefully, we will also look at the management of the wattles and other trees and small shrubs that have admittedly grown beyond what we've normally maintained currently. And we also are working with Derby Landcare Group around their weed management schedules that they're looking at, so that we're getting some advice from them about management of weeds, etc.
Thank you. Okay. All right, so they're the ones that we have in writing. Do we have any questions? I mean, one person in that go. Do we have any other questions that we'd like to add? Okay, no further public questions, that we move on. Items 9.2 is public statements. I have nil. Item 10 is petitions, deputations, presentations and submissions. I have nil. Item 11 is confirmation of the minutes of the previous meeting. And the unconfirmed minutes have been on our website, as I understand it. And I have those in front of me. I will just note that there is one very minor change, and that is that there seems to have been a typo in terms of my spelling my name, and we've been through and amended that. So the copy in front of me is the one that has my name spelled correctly. But in all other respects, it's the same one that has appeared on our website. So I've been through the minutes, and I believe that they are an accurate record of that meeting. And the recommendation before me is that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting brackets commissioner meeting held at 5:30 p.m. Thursday, the 24th April 25 at Council Chambers, Barron Street, Derby, be confirmed. I'd like to move that recommendation. And then, as I'm the sole voting person in this, I'll declare that motion carried 1-0. Moving on to reports. Item 12, corporate services. 12.1, governance and compliance with internal controls. So this is largely a report to provide council with the status of the internal control and management mechanisms that we have. I've considered the contents of the report. But also, just by way of noting that at the last council meeting, I appointed myself as the member for the Audit and Risk Committee on the basis that I understood we could probably hold Audit and Risk Committee meetings. Since had further advice on that, and that seems like it is not really the case, and that the Audit and Risk Committee meeting needs to have a minimum of 3 members, which of course at the moment we can't comply with. We will be seeking nominations for independent members to join that committee, and it's a process I'm working through with senior staff at the moment. But that said, in the meantime, returning to the item, which is largely about a process report, the recommendation is that the council brackets commissioner note the information contained in the Shire of Derby West Kimberley Internal Controls Report, May 2025. Satisfied that that's an accurate and comprehensive report, so I'll move the recommendation and declare that recommendation carried 1-0. Moving on to item 12.2, governance and compliance risk management. So this is a report to council around the controls that have been developed and are maintained in terms of risk management. I have been through the risk register with the CEO, but is there anything the CEO wants to add or clarify?
Through the chair, I will add that this is an ongoing process, the review of the risk management framework. So it will be enhanced in future presentations.
Thank you. Okay, so now I'm prepared to move the recommendation that Council of Brackets Commissioner receive and note the information contained in the Shire of Derby West Kimberley Risk Register, May 2025, and declare that that motion carried 1-0. Moving on to item 12.3, which is terms of reference for an audit and risk committee. So there is a requirement that the Shire have an audit and risk committee, and this item is about establishing terms of reference for that committee. And bear in mind my comments from the previous item, this is about putting those terms of reference in place. I note that it's worded and structured around councillors being available for membership. We're not currently in that situation, so this effectively is a model terms of reference that we'll be able to use going forward. And my understanding is that it's based on a range of other terms of reference that have been used elsewhere in the state. So bear in mind that an incoming audit and risk committee would have the opportunity to reconsider terms of reference. I think this is a reasonable and practical starting point. So the recommendation in front of me is that the council Commissioner by absolute majority adopts the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee terms of reference and delegates authority under section 2571 subsection 1B of the Local Government Act and authorises the Chief Executive Officer to finalise any administrative matters in relation to publishing terms of reference. So I'll move that and declare that motion passed 1-0. So item 12.4 is the review of delegations. So this is a regular process that council reviews its delegation register. The last significant review was conducted in April 24. I've considered the delegation register, and there is a recommendation there that the council brackets commissioner by absolute majority adopts the attached Shire of Derby West Kimberley Delegated Authority Register 24/25 and directs the Chief Executive Officer to publish the Delegated Authority Register on the Shire's website. I'll move that motion and declare it passed 1-0. We now move on to a range of items on financial activity. So item 12.5 is the statement of financial activity for March 25. So this report gives a summary of council's financial position as at 31 March. A range of relevant matters highlighted as we go through that item. I would like to highlight there in the comments that the ability of the Shire to remain financially sustainable is a significant strategy for the region, and that is for a region that is continually under pressure from postal industry, private enterprise and state government obligations, the ongoing development of infrastructure and services. So we do have some ongoing sustainability challenges. We recognise that. We're well advanced with reassessing the full range of our finances, and that culminates in our ability to be able to strike a budget at the June meeting. However, the recommendation is that the council commissioner receives the monthly financial management reports incorporating the statement of financial activity for the period ending 31 March 25. I move that motion and declare it carried 1-0. Item 12.6 is accounts for payment March. And is a requirement for council to receive a list of accounts paid under delegated authority during March. I have been through all of those accounts and had some discussions with the CEO on them. I'm satisfied that that list of accounts is accurate and appropriate. The recommendation is that the council brackets commissioner notes the list of accounts for March 25 paid under delegated authority in accordance with regulation 13 subsection 1 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 1996. They're attached to this report totaling $3,246,545.03. I'll move that motion and declare it passed 1-0. Next item is 12.7 statement of financial activity April 25. Building on the earlier two items. So this report provides a summary of the financial position at 30 April. Some of the actions required and recommendations there are well underway, and I reiterate my comments from the previous item. Is that I'm closely working with external financial advisors, and we're well advanced in striking a budget for the June meeting. The recommendation is that the council brackets commissioner receives the monthly financial management reports incorporating the statement of financial activity for the period 30 April 25. I'll move that and declare it passed 1-0. Item 12.8, accounts for payment, April 25. So this is again to requirement for council to receive a list of accounts paid under delegated authority during April. I reiterate some of the comments I've made on the last few items. I've been through the list of accounts and considered by exception. I'm comfortable with that it provides an adequate overview. There is a recommendation there that Council Brackets Commissioner accepts the list of accounts for April 25, paid under delegated authority in accordance with Regulation 13, subsection 1 of the Local Government Financial Management Regulations 96. They're attached to this report totaling $2,615,620.62. I'll move that recommendation and declare it passed 1-0. Okay, item 12.9, outstanding debt. This is a report to council outlining outstanding rates and sundry debtors reports. I have considered the report and discussed appropriate follow-up actions with the CEO, and I'm comfortable that this is not only accurate report but an appropriate report. The recommendation is that Council Commissioner receives the information contained in the report detailing outstanding rates and sundry debtors as at 30 April 25. Move that recommendation and declare it passed 1-0. This is an important item, 12.10, schedule of fees and charges, 25-26. So this is an important input into our budgeting process, and fees and charges need to be reviewed. There is a schedule of fees and charges attached. Importantly, I think it's worth reiterating why we do a review of fees and charges: to provide consistency, provide sufficient time for advertising to enable any necessary statutory advertising to happen, provide time for customers to be advised and assist with our budgeting forecast. And we do this process based on a range of factors. We try where we can to progress towards full cost recovery. We try and recoup cost for hire of shallow facilities where that's possible. We're trying to consider any increases in terms of the CPI, how costs have varied over time. We benchmark our shallow fees and charges, and we're constantly conscious of price elasticity of demand, which effectively is how demand changes as price changes. The factors that we take into account in order that fees and charges can take effect from the 1st of July. So I have been through the proposed fees and charges line by line in a discussion with the CEO, and comfortable that they represent a good balance of the issues and principles that we've employed to prepare them. So the recommendation is in front of me that Council Brackets Commissioner by absolute majority, pursuant to section 616 of the Local Government Act 1995, adopt the draft 25-26 fees and charges schedule as attached, and directs the Chief Executive Officer to advertise by local public notice the proposed fees and charges for 25-26. I move that recommendation and declare it passed 1-0. Item 13 is a group of items around executive services, and 13.1 is compliance reports, in particular our council managed their minutes. And this is an item that's brought to council to update how the administration is managing the implementation of the decision-making process. I have been through the attachments and the minute register. I think it's fair to say that this is a process that is continually evolving, and we're heading with process improvements as we go to build this into a more streamlined process. So recognising that this is a bit of a works in progress, there has been some tightening up of how we progress council minutes. I'm comfortable of the process and the pathway that we're on. So the recommendation before me is that Council Commissioner receive the information contained in the report detailing council minute management. I'll move that motion and declare it passed 1-0. Item 13.2 relates to the 2025 ordinary local government election and the appointment of the Electoral Commission as the Electoral Commissioner as returning officer. And, people are aware that I'm only here until the elections are held, so this is an important decision to be taken about how these elections are to be run for an incoming council. So that, as we know, they're held every 2 years. The WA Electoral Commissioner will accept responsibility to run the election. However, a council decision is required in respect to that appointment. So part of the paperwork indicates the value of having the Electoral Commission undertake the election and appoint a returning officer to reinforce the level of governance separation between council staff and the elected itself, and enable for high degrees of public visibility. So we have a quotation from the Electoral Commission to undertake that task. They've quoted $30,000. This is a process that has been used in previous years, so it's not out of the ordinary. So I'm satisfied that it is a mechanism that is both appropriate in the Shire but has also been used before, and that the budget estimate to me appears realistic. On that basis, the recommendation that's before me is that Council Commissioner by absolute majority in accordance with section 40.20 subsection 4 of the Local Government Act 1995 declares that West Australian Electoral Commissioner be responsible for the 2025 Shire of Derby West Kimberley local government election, and point 2, including the 25-26 budget and allocation of $30,000 for the 25 local government election, which includes the estimates WAC, so includes the estimates that the WA Electoral Commission cost of $26,601 and incidental costs. So I'm happy to remove that motion and declare it passed 1-0. Item 13.3, amendment to policy F19 about the community funding scheme. This is an item that is largely about a process improvement to a policy that is designed around improving efficiency. I've considered the policy proposal, and in my view, it's practical and will result in a process improvement. The recommendation before me is that Council Commissioner adopts the amended policy F19 community funding policy I'll move that motion and declare it passed by 1-0. Item 13.4. Thanks. 24-25 budget amendment for the Fitzroy Crossing Youth Zone and Town Oval Precinct fencing. This is a matter that is the subject of a state government election commitment and an already established financial assistance grant that has been endorsed by the Shire on the 11th of February 25. It's effectively asking for amendment to the budget to make it consistent with the financial agreement that has been signed. I've read the financial agreement, and I'm familiar with the signed agreement. The budget amendment, in my view, is warranted. The recommendation in front of us here, in front of me, is that Council Brackets Commissioner by absolute majority authorises an amendment to the 24-25 budget to review new income accounting amounting to $1,500,000 ex GST. That is for milestone 1, 750,000 on execution of the agreement, and milestone 2, 750,000, the awarded contract for supply and install of perimeter fencing. This amount will be made within the income account code recreation capital grants 5110382058110. I'll move that recommendation and declare it passed 1-0. Next item is around development services, and item 14.1 specifically talks about new service level changes to the waste management services. Previous council made a decision to trial some new arrangements in relation to both Derby and Fitzroy Crossing waste management sites, and that trial extended for 12 months. The trial, by all reports, has been successful, and this item has come to me to put in place permanent arrangements that are consistent with that trial. On the basis that this was agreed by the previous council, the trial was agreed by the previous council, and the trial was successful, I'm comfortable to proceed with the recommendation in front of me. That is that Council Commissioner approves changes being made to the Derby Fitzroy Crossing waste management contract as follows. 1. Make permanent the current operational hours for the Derby waste management site on Sundays, that's 8 AM to 12 PM, and the Fitzroy Crossing waste management site to 6 days a week, noting it will be closed on Sundays. The above changes will be formalised with Cleanaway through an amendment to the existing contract. And note, the Chief Executive Officer will continue to investigate potential further changes to operations hours at both the Derby and Fitzroy Crossing waste management facilities. I'll move that recommendation and declare it passed 1-0. Moving on to a couple of items in relation to liquor control. And the first one is 14.2 liquor control Bungardi restrictions area, expiry August 25. This is a matter that is not, where council is not the decision-making body. However, it has been asked for comment. The process usually involves the community recommending that the restrictions continue. We understand that that's happened, and I also am aware that a supporting decision here supports the Shire's demonstration that it supports alcohol management initiatives, and particularly those that are community driven and lead to reducing alcohol-related harm. So, on the basis that this is a long-standing council position and that it's for more information from me was requested by the community, I'm happy to proceed with the supporting recommendation, which is that Council Commissioner supports the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries request to extend the liquor restrictions for Bungardi community and directs the Chief Executive Officer to respond to the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries supporting the Bungardi community liquor extensions. I move that motion and declare it passed 1-0. In similar vein, item 14.3 is liquor control at the Kadjina restrictions area and due to expire in October 25. And again, this is a matter that we understand has been, we were providing comment and it's on the basis of the community requesting an extension. I'm satisfied that it's supported by a long-standing council position to support reduction of alcohol-related harm where we can, and that we're providing comments rather than a decision. So the recommendation in front of me is that Council Commissioner 1 supports the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries request to extend the liquor restrictions at Kadjina community and directs the Chief Executive Officer to respond to the Department of Local Government, Sport and Cultural Industries supporting the Kadjina community's extensions. I'll move that recommendation and declare it passed 1-0. Item 14.4. This is the draft Local Heritage Survey 25 and the draft Heritage List 25. This is a long-standing process that I understand from the papers started in 2022, some considerable period ago, and has got to a point that it's now ready for public advertising. A decision to support this actually provides the community with an opportunity to consider an extensive report and provide input to it. With consultations I note have gone back to 2022, both in Derby and in Fitzroy Crossing, I think it's an appropriate next step to allow the document to be publicly advertised. So the recommendation in front of me is that Council Commissioner endorses the draft Local Heritage Survey 2025 and draft Heritage List 2025 for the purpose of advertising for 28 days. And 2, directs the Chief Executive Officer to prepare a report at the conclusion of the advertising period for Council to consider the adoption of the draft Local Heritage Survey 25 and the draft Heritage List 25, including feedback and any recommended amendments. I'll move that recommendation and declare it passed 1-0. I'll move on to Community and Recreation Services section and item 15.1, which is the funding and donations distributed through the Community Funding Scheme between December 24 and April 25. So this is a quarterly update into the distribution of some small grants, and they're distributed under the 5 main categories: community grants program, community representative grants, event sponsorship, in-kind donations, and by specific council decisions. I know that it's a relatively small number of grants and a relatively small amount of money. However, these grants sometimes punch well above their weight in small communities. The item is effectively to note a quarterly update. So the recommendation in front of me is that Council Commissioner notes the in-kind and financial supports provided to local community organisations by the Shire through the Community Funding Scheme. I'll move that motion and declare it passed 1-0. That was about council grants. This next item, 15.2, is an update on external grants and funding received for that period, December 24 to April 25. So this is about updating the council on grants that have either come in, have been applied for, have been declined, or are in progress. So let's provide council with that overview of grant funding. Extensive sort of report there about individual grants that we're connected to. Whilst it's a snapshot of what's happened in that period, I think it's worth highlighting that it would be my view that this Shire probably has some unfulfilled opportunities in the grant sector, and that longer term, it's potentially a growth area for income for this Shire. So I'm wondering whether we could limit that at some point, that it would be my expectation that this would continue to grow, and an incoming council should see this as an opportunity to obtain revenue that might help the underlying long-term budget situation for the local authority. So I think it's a growth area. But returning to the item, which is largely an update on where we are and where we've been, the recommendation is that Council Brackets Commissioner notes the summary of grant and funding applications which have been submitted by officers and provides in principle support for the outlined projects for which funding has been sought. Happy to move that motion and declare it passed 1-0. Item 15.3 outlines a review of the Child Safe Organisation Action Plan in 2023. So the report that's been provided to me outlines the achievement of the actions identified in the plan. And that review was undertaken in March 25. Some of the completed actions to highlight a child safeguarding policy statement, events management plan documents included this as a consideration. We've audited staff and volunteers to ensure working with children checks. Our induction process has been ramped up. Organisations receiving funding from the Shire have had this built into some of their funding arrangements. Children and young people are included in the reviewing program, and we have appointed Aboriginal engagement managers who have got cultural expertise to be able to embed this further into our works. So I also note that there are, we have some ongoing constraints about how much we can achieve in this space through our financing and staffing limitations. But all of that I've taken into account with considering the recommendation. That is that the Council Brackets Commissioner notes the findings of the review of the Child Safe Organisation Action Plan 23 as provided in attachment 2. And 2 directs the Chief Executive Officer to develop a new Child Safe Organisation Action Plan to guide future implementation of the national principles of child safe organisations at the Shire of Derby, West Kimberley. I'll move that motion and declare it passed 1-0. And moving on to item 16, new business of an urgent nature. And we do have one matter there that has been provided to me, and it is a late item, and it's about the Department of Transport services provided in the Fitzroy Crossing community. The item calls for Council Brackets Commissioner support to work with the Department of Transport to reassign licensing services that are currently provided by the Shire of Derby West Kimberley at the Fitzroy Crossing Visitor Centre to a suitable provider located in the area. effectively, this is a matter that's been raised with me by some residents from the Fitzroy community. And this item is about the Shire looking for better service delivery option than currently exists. Department of Transport prepared. Well, we're not able to transfer the arrangements that we have with the Department of Transport easily. They need to be providing new arrangements, and they will do that in the Fitzroy crossing community through a competitive process if there are multiple interested parties. Otherwise, the Department of Transport will be negotiating a series of arrangements with whoever's going to provide that service. As I said, the matter's been raised with me by Fitzroy residents, and this option provides a better delivery option, in my view, rather than the Shire trying to do it from within its resources. I don't believe there's absolutely core responsibilities for the Shire. It's important for the community, but not absolutely for the Shire. So I think the recommendation is appropriate, and that is that Council Commissioner 1 endorses the transfer of provision of licensing services for the Shire of Derby West Kimberley to an alternative provider in Fitzroy Crossing. 2, notes the Department of Transport commitment to licensing services not being compromised or diminished in the community. I'd like to underline that regard. And 3, advises that any potential conflicts of interest between the Shire and/or Council Commissioner and the proposed alternative provider are to be declared and noted. I'm not raising anything from my side. I'm comfortable with that recommendation. I'll move that motion and declare it passed 1-0. So item 17 is matters for which the council meeting may be closed. That is matters of confidential note. Are there matters that we need to consider? On that basis, I'm going to close the public broadcasting of the meeting whilst I consider those matters that are confidential behind closed doors. So I'll reopen the meeting of the Shire of Derby West Kimberley at 12:01 and move to item 18, which is closure of the meeting and the date of the next meeting. There needs to be a slight modification to the date of the next meeting in order that it can be available. So could we strike the next meeting for the 18th as opposed to the 18th of June 2025 in Derby?
Through the chair, may I confirm the time still suitable? I can arrange that advertising.
So 5:30 p.m. It's Wednesday. Wednesday, the 18th of June 2025. Thanks for your flexibility on that. And I declare the meeting closed at 12:02. Thanks very much for your attendance. Thanks, staff as well.